Yeah, that noise is pretty weird, but you better start getting used to it because the best-selling vehicle in America has been fully redesigned for 2021, and it's also the very first truck to get an electrified option dubbed the PowerBoost. Now, the new PowerBoost model sits at the very tippy top of the F-150 Powertrain family, and it's around a $3,300 upcharge on this Lariat trim that I'm showing you. Now, you guys have already seen a full review on the F-150 when we first drove this car late last year when we were in Michigan. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the F-150 hybrid in a little bit more of a thorough manner. We're going to get it out on the highway. We're going to test the highway fuel economy and the range. We're going to see what it's like to live with the hybrid powertrain on a daily basis. I primarily want to see just how comfortable it is, how quick to accelerate it is, how smooth it is, and does it actually give you that fuel economy boost over previous generation F-150s. So if you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell so you're always alerted every time we make a new upload. And just enjoy the ride as we go over our latest video on this all-new F-150 PowerBoost. Now, with nearly 1 million of these units sold, this is the front end that most people are probably going to have to get used to seeing, especially on this all-new 14th generation model. The key takeaway here, I want to go over some of the key aspects about the styling of this new F-150. First of all, the grille on this model. This is the one that is included with the Lariat Sport Appearance Package. For only $300, it basically blacks out all of the chrome bits that I don't like. So if you guys don't like chrome, check this option box because it basically gives you kind of a blackout look to the grille and into the overall front fascia. These upgraded projector LED headlights are also swiveling. They're adaptive. They include automatic high beams. This is part of the 5021A upgrade package, which is bundled in with a lot of other extra options. It really makes the front end of this truck appear a lot more modern, a lot more upscale. This grille, like I mentioned earlier, is one of 11 different grills. So there's plenty of different styles to choose from if you guys don't like this particular design. And also notice the new design of the LED daytime running lights. They're kind of like a shape right here that also continues into the lower fog light, which you can see the fog light is also an LED. You have an LED turn signal. I really like the way this mid trim looks, especially when you tick off the option box for the 502A upgrade package. So you see this badge over here? This is what's going to let other people know that you bought the hybrid version. It just says PowerBoost, which is supposed to signify that it combines the EcoBoost, of course, with the hybrid technology. It's a nice looking badge overall, and the truck from this angle has a very conventional look to it. Now, a couple of key takeaways I want to talk about here at the side profile. All F-150s with the FX4 off-road package that my tester has roughly offers around 9.4 inches of ground clearance. Remember, all F-150s come with a fixed steel suspension. You also get these Goodyear Territory all-terrain tires and 18-inch wheels that mine has. You can also spec in for around $1,400 a 20-inch wheel with a six-spoke design. I'd probably add that option, and I think these 18s look a little bit small. And overall, the Super Crew body cab that you're seeing here is what most people tend to buy. My tester has a 5.5-foot bed. If you guys regularly plan to carry longer items in the bed, I'd highly recommend spending an extra $1,000 for the 6.5-foot bed because that's going to give you far more usable space in the cargo area. And shorter drivers can rejoice because for $1,200, Ford offers these power deploying running boards, which really help somebody who's a little bit vertically challenged like myself get into the actual truck. Now, one feature I think a lot of people are going to like about this new F-150 at the rear is the power remote opening and closing tailgate feature. It's $695. You could essentially use the fob, or you can also just come over here and open it. You can see the tailgate opens up electrically, or you can also just push the same button that I pushed and it will close the tailgate, although you can see when it closes the tailgate, it's a little bit slow, so I'm surprised to see it move so slowly. But regardless, it's a nice feature to have, especially if you guys plan to actually use your pickup truck area to do a lot of work things. Now, once you open up that tailgate, you can see the F-150 offers a lot of stuff that buyers expect in this segment. Obviously, for $595, a lot of you are probably going to get this spray-in bed liner. Ford also offers a drop-in bed liner, and my tester for another $430 offers basically a tailgate step, an integrated tailgate step, where this right here pops right out and allows short people like myself to get into the truck. And you can see it also has kind of this little workstation where the tailgate offers this cool little built-in ruler for those of you who actually need to cut a little wood or do some measuring. It's all kind of built into the tailgate, which really makes the job a lot easier to accomplish. And like a lot of other modern trucks, the tailgate is full of a lot of features. I'll get to the Power Onboard system in just a moment, but there is a lot of LED lighting around this truck. Ford calls it zone lighting, which at night allows you to control 4 different quadrants of lighting in this truck. It really helps to light up the night, especially if you guys plan to use this truck in the dark. Now, as you can see over here is the Power Onboard option. This is what's included if you guys want to spend $700 on the PowerBoost model. This is basically an onboard generator. So those of you who have a gas power generator that you drag along whenever you go camping or tailgating, you don't need to bring that anymore for when you get something like this, because it allows you to basically power a lot of 120 volt electronic stuff. So whether it's like a fridge, a television set, an electric grill, or you can also power some power tools at the workplace. I mean, this right here is probably the coolest aspect about the F-150 Ford. It utilized the hybrid system of this particular powertrain. Remember, we have a 1.5 kilowatt hour battery pack underneath the bed of this truck. It basically allows the Ford engineers to give you usage of that power. So think about it, if you're camping, you can use this as a power station here to power whatever you'd like. Or if your power goes out at your home, a lot of people apparently were using this to actually power some of the stuff that's very important in your home, like refrigerators or whatever else you may need to actually give power. For those of you who don't get the PowerBoost option, Ford offers 2 different options. You can also get a 2.0 kilowatt hour system or a 2.4 kilowatt system. Those obviously aren't going to deliver quite as much juice, but if you guys want to get the hybrid option, this is probably something that a lot of people are going to tick the option for. Now, Ford will offer 6 different powertrain options on this new F-150. This is probably the most interesting and the newest option. Dubbed the PowerBoost, this hybridized engine basically merges a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6 that we all like, of course, in the previous generation model. The engine on its own makes around 394 horsepower and 492 pound-feet of torque. Now, it's sandwiched, of course, with a 35 kilowatt electric motor that delivers 44 horsepower on its own. Altogether, Ford says you get around 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. That torque number makes it more powerful in terms of torque compared to the previous generation Ford F-150 Raptor. Now, the battery pack is pretty small on this F-150 hybrid. It's only 1.5 kilowatt hours, so this is not a plug-in hybrid truck like you might find on some SUVs or cars, so you can't drive on electric power alone. But what it does allow you to do is drive at very low speeds and just kind of putter along at electric only, making no noise, and it also allows the engine to shut off much sooner in stop and go traffic, which is why the fuel economy has improved by around 20%. The F-150 hybrid is rated to do 24 in the city and 24 on the highway, or 24 combined with 4-wheel drive like this one. If you guys go for a 2-wheel drive model, it improves to 26 in the city and 25 on the highway. So best in class numbers. This is better fuel economy, of course, than the diesel version of this truck. And if you guys go for the non-hybrid F-150 EcoBoost with this powertrain, it'll get roughly 5 mpg less in the combined rating. So this is a significant improvement for those of you who don't necessarily want a diesel, but you want the best fuel economy in your gas-powered truck. Now, just because it has those heavy batteries and electric motors, the capability hasn't really gone down. This model here will tow a maximum of 11,000 pounds, and it'll haul around 1,830 pounds in the bed, which I did get a chance to test when I had this car for a week. It did a really great job hauling around 1,800 pounds of pavers that I was putting in my backyard. So overall, strong capability, and keep in mind, the max towing for this vehicle is 14,000 pounds and the max payload is 3,000 pounds, depending on the configuration that you get. Now, fuel economy is good. Performance is also even better. 0 to 60 Ford says is around the mid 5-second range for a truck that weighs in at around 5,800 pounds. Now, the first thing that I did when Ford sent me over this F-150, I wanted to see just how long I could keep it in just electric-only power. In fact, in the 47 miles that I've driven this car since they've dropped it off, it says I've gone nearly 20 of those miles in just pure electric mode. Now, this requires a lot of patience because, as you can see, I'm literally only going 9 miles an hour and I'm having to be super gentle. There's almost like an egg that's behind the throttle pedal because I don't want to push it too hard to get the gas engine to fire up. You can actually go to a power flow meter here in the screen, and it'll tell you what you're using. Remember, this does not have enough juice to basically allow you pure electric only range, and there we go. the gas engine has turned on, and it says battery charging right now because we have this teeny tiny 1.5 kilowatt hour battery pack, which honestly is just there to provide us a little bit of storage so you can get this truck moving on just electric only juice at very, very crawl speeds basically, or to power that Power Onboard generator. And there you can see the truck actually had a very strong shudder. This is where I'm going to talk about a little bit more, because this 10-speed automatic with this hybrid powertrain isn't necessarily the smoothest transition, and it makes the truck feel a little bit odd at times when you're switching between electric and gas only power. But thankfully, you know, this truck does have the acceleration that you expect in a modern vehicle, and performance is pretty strong, especially when you guys switch it over to its sport mode. Now, to access the different drive modes, there's a little dial right here on the dashboard on the lower part of the dash. It's in normal, it's what it defaults to. You twist it over to the left 3 times and it'll go into a sport mode. This locks the 4-wheel drive system into an automatic setting. Without it, it'll be in rear drive mode, and it's a little bit tire spin happy in the rear. You can see the start stop. You cannot disengage it because it's a hybrid, but I'll just put my foot down here. We can test out the acceleration real quick. There's definitely an initial lag off the line. I actually found that when you brake torque it slightly, which the truck didn't really like that, the lag goes away. It has a pretty typical, you know, EcoBoost V6 noise when it gets going. But again, Ford says 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. It is without a doubt a quick truck. This is about as quick as the last F-150 Raptor that I drove, the previous generation, of course. Again, that 10-speed automatic has plenty of gears, but it's not always the smoothest shifting transmission, which does make the truck feel like it's a little bit unsettled at times. It makes it feel a little bit unrefined. But most of you aren't going to be driving the truck in sport mode, wasting all this gas. So I'm going to switch it over to its normal setting. There's like 7 different drive mode settings to choose from. Speaking of which, there's a Raptor right there. I'd like to do a drag race with you. But anyways, right now you can see the gas engine has shut off. I'm just cruising along in electric only power, which is fantastic. It's showing 0 RPM. There is basically no noise on the inside here other than just some tire noise. And it's just a really cool feeling. This is getting me so excited for the electric truck future, because this is the very first one that you can buy that allows you to do something like this. You know, go 40 miles an hour, the gas engine shuts off and you're just cruising along. The Ram 1500 with its mild hybrid e-torque system will not allow you to do this because it doesn't have a full hybrid system like this truck has. This is basically similar to, you know, something like a Toyota Camry or RAV4 hybrid, where it has just enough juice to let you coast along like this and accelerate at super low speeds on just electric power alone, which is really, really cool. See, like right here, it doesn't have enough power to actually get the truck going, so the gas engine does have to fire up. You can hear it shifts and performs just like any other EcoBoost F-150. Plenty of power, plenty of torque. It gets up to speed very quickly. The sound isn't great. Ford is kind of synthesizing the noise in here, but again, the torque that it delivers, 570 pound-feet at like 3,000 RPM, is just really impressive numbers. Anytime I get on the brakes, you can see the regen braking automatically switches over, and it's trying to put that energy back into the battery pack. I will say that this is the first Ford F-150 model that has electric brakes. They've gotten rid of the vacuum assist on the brakes, and it's now electric. It tries to blend regen braking and friction braking. And I'm noticing quite a few things. It does feel relatively normal, but it also takes some getting used to, because when I first touch the pedal, it almost feels like it doesn't have enough brake. But then, like, when I think it's not going to actually stop, I push the pedal down and it starts to really grab at those brakes, which can honestly piss off your passengers and make them sick. I find that when you drive this truck for a couple days, you get used to the braking feel, and that kind of gets you better at, you know, modulating the brake pressure to give you a smoother transition between friction braking and regenerative braking. The rest of the drive and city drive, which we'll get out on the highway in just a moment, is pretty much classic F-150 stuff. You have this amazing commanding view of the road. The seats are so comfortable. It's really quiet in here. My tester is missing the massaging seats in the limited and platinum version, which I would highly recommend if you guys are going to spend, you know, $70,000 on your truck. You may as well just go all out and go for the fully loaded version. And the interior for this model is just fabulous. I love the big 12-inch display in the instrument panel here. in the center stack and in the instrument panel. It all works very well. The Sync 4 system has wireless Apple CarPlay. You can see it has really great integration. It worked perfectly every time I got into this truck, actually. It worked better than the system that I found in the Ford Mach-E, which is the same system, although it's a larger screen. I actually really like the way this tablet style screen looks. And you also have a lot of redundant hard buttons if you guys prefer to use hard buttons. The steering wheel is power tilt and telescoping. I have so much space in this truck, you can barely reach over to the other side. The back seat has a crap ton of room, around 44 inches of legroom back there, which is the same as the front. So you need a big back seat. Make sure you go for this Super Crew model. Now, some of you have actually asked, can this electronic shifter pinch your finger when it's opening and closing? The answer is, let's find out. I'll close it. No, it cannot. It'll sense when your finger is there or something is there blocking it from folding, and it'll automatically reverse back to keep from crushing your finger or whatever it is. Now, as we get out onto the highway, I want to do a couple things. I want to switch the drive mode selector here into the eco setting. So basically I'm going to turn it to the left 2 times. It actually changes the gauges in here to a green color, which is nice. It's going to, again, show the theme here that I've switched over to the eco mode. Now on the highway, Ford said, or the EPA says this truck will get the same MPG in the city at 24. Typically these hybrid vehicles do a little bit better in terms of fuel economy in the city because of the stop and go. It allows you to drive an electric power more versus on the highway. On the highway, we're always probably going to be using the gas engine, but this is where Ford can kind of show off a little bit of efficiency with their gas engines. I also want to mention briefly, when I was driving this car out in the city, I actually managed to drive the vehicle on a slight downhill in electric only up until about 42 miles per hour. The gas engine didn't come on and accelerated from a stop to up to about 42 miles per hour before the gas engine finally turned on. That was pretty impressive, but that required slight downhill grade, and my foot was just very just touching the gas pedal. So any more pressure I would have given to it, it would have actually started to drop the fuel economy. So let's go over here into the trip computer. I'm going to go ahead and reset it. I want to see what kind of fuel economy we can get. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this. I'm going to also go into the fuel economy page. I'm going to go ahead and reset this. So now we're going back to trip 2, and already, now we just started our drive on this long trip. I'm actually going to drive around 30 miles down this road, and I'm going to see what kind of highway fuel economy we can get. Well, now it's showing 23.6 mpg. 23.6 mpg is very impressive right off the bat, so we'll see if that number can get a little bit better as we go down the road. Keep in mind, I've got nothing in the bed. It's just me in the vehicle. The temperature outside is around 56 degrees. It's a nice gloomy, cloudy day, so it's kind of perfect for fuel economy testing. Now, this is the perfect opportunity to really quickly talk about the highway driving characteristics of this truck. Now, trucks in the past, you know, not even the past, like a long time ago, trucks were just uncomfortable things to drive on the highway. You had to have all this crap in the bed to actually make the truck feel like it was, you know, somewhat smooth riding, and that's simply not the case anymore with these new modern trucks. Even though we've got a live axle in the back, the F-150 just glides over the road with just a nice softness that you expect from even a luxury car. It's a really great, you know, feeling in this truck. I have this amazing commanding view of the road. This model here comes standard with Ford's Co-Pilot 360 2.0. It also has the active drive prep package, so Ford later this year will basically over-the-air update and allow for hands-free driving on the interstate. It's pretty similar to Cadillac and GM's Super Cruise feature. The F-150 and the Ford Mach-E and other Ford products will get that upgrade at a later date, but overall, it just goes down the road really well. It's really quiet in here. Right now, the gas engine is still on. I don't believe it'll ever shut off in these kind of conditions, but I'm just going to cruise along at 65 miles an hour, and we're just going to see what kind of gas miles that we can get. But I do want to also test out the driver assist, because even though this is not the, you know, not the hands-free driving feature, let's go ahead and try the adaptive cruise control function. So I'll set the adaptive cruise here at 65 miles an hour. The lane keep assist is on, and you can see there's a big tractor trailer in front of me. It's going to maintain a distance away from that truck. I'm going to actually increase or decrease the follow distance. So this is the closest setting. You can see this is the kind of, this hypermilling right behind this truck is the best way you can get, you know, the best gas miles, the quickest way you can get the best gas miles, because there's less aerodynamic drag when you're behind a truck like this. But you can see Ford's Co-Pilot 360 does a pretty good job. The steering wheel icon right here is blue, which usually it's green when it shows that it's actively steering, but it is keeping me in the lane, which is nice. And you can see even around gentle curves, the steering wheel will or the truck will keep you centered in the lane. Let's see how long I can keep my hands off the wheel before it starts to complain to me. There we go. That was probably only like 10, 15 seconds. We're gonna pass this truck here, and we're gonna see it accelerates pretty well, up to about 65 miles an hour. That's where I have it set to. It's gonna hold it there. And I did find that the response was pretty good. As soon as I signaled, it let go of the wheel and it accelerated pretty quickly to the set speed that I had it set to. And then we're gonna change back over here. You can see it lets go of the lane keep assist, just giving me that time to change over. And then as soon as I get back over, the lane keep actually starts to activate again. So Ford does a blue steering wheel to let you know that it's active. It's right there in the tach above the actual number for the RPM speed. And right now we're averaging nearly 26 miles to the gallon. Now it's only been 4 miles, but I'm gonna go down the road a little bit longer and I'm gonna see if I can get that MPG to actually improve. We're gonna stay at a steady 65 mile per hour cruise, and we're just gonna see what this F-150 is capable of. So we've been cruising on the interstate for a little bit. I'm actually in Lancaster, PA, and I've almost put around 20 miles of pure highway driving in this vehicle. Now that has included a little bit of stop and go, because as you can see, we're coming up on some rush hour traffic right now. And this does allow the F-150 to get slightly better MPG, because right now the gas engine is shut off. If I actually go here to the power flow section, you can see it's in regenerative braking mode. I still haven't touched the gas or the throttle. This is still the Ford Copilot 360 2.0 that's doing its job. And the trip computer is saying we're getting around 27 MPG. It just improved to 27, so that is fantastic. Now, it did improve to this because I ran up on some of this traffic, which allowed the gas engine to shut off. But when I was just cruising along on the highway for a good 15 or 12 miles or so, 12 to 15 miles, it was showing around 24 and a half, just under 25 MPG, which is still excellent numbers. It's very impressive that we live in a day and age where a big, nearly 6,000 pound truck like this can get, 25 MPG. And then when you throw in some city driving like this, where the electric motor can kick in a little bit, it improves to 27 miles to the gallon. But being out on the highway here did allow me to, discover that the Ford Copilot 360 2.0 actually does a pretty good job. The heated seats do a really good job of keeping your butt warm, and if you get a little too hot, the cooled seat also works pretty well. And my tester doesn't have the 18 speaker Bang & Olufsen stereo, but I did crank up the tunes earlier on the 8 speaker Bang & Olufsen stereo that this one has, and it also sounds pretty good. I'm not entirely sure if it's worthy enough to pony up for the 18 speaker unit, but overall, I mean, you could definitely hit those EPA numbers in the highway. In the city, I have yet to get the 24. I've been averaging around 19, but still very, very impressive fuel economy. And it's one of the reasons why I think the PowerBoost model is the engine that you want to get. So all this hybrid tech is great and all, but what exactly is the F-150 hybrid to a normal, regular consumer? Well, what this truck is America's first stepping stone toward an electric truck future. Yes, we've heard about it in the news, Tesla's Cybertruck, the Rivian R1T, and several other manufacturers like Ford and General Motors working on development of an all-electric truck. Even Stellantis just announced that as well for the Ram. The F-150 hybrid is the first one to actually come to market. You can buy this at dealers today. And really, it's the first time that I've ever driven a truck that actually will start up with no traditional starter noise, that'll actually creep around in just pure electric mode while making those strange noises. You'd be surprised how many people did a double take on this truck in parking lots whenever you just kind of cruise by them at very low speeds, and it wouldn't be making any noise other than that synthetic whirring noise that's going to become federally mandated on these electric trucks. And really, I was surprised by just living with this vehicle, because it did get surprisingly good fuel economy. In just normal city everyday traffic, I got around 19 miles to the gallon, which is pretty strong. It's around 5 less than what the EPA rates it as, but I suspect it will do better for those of you who have a little more time with it and just live with it. On the highway, it did pretty much match what the EPA says it'll do, and when it's a full tank, the F-150 hybrid will do around 600 miles on a full tank, because we have a 30-gallon gas tank. This is, again, the ultimate road trip vehicle, and it comes with very little compromises, especially if you guys actually need to use this as a truck vehicle, a truck style vehicle, but also want to use it as your daily. So that's kind of where the beauty lies with this F-150 hybrid. Now, could Ford have done a plug-in hybrid version? Sure, they could probably make the battery pack larger, give us like 30 miles of pure electric only range, giving us a little bit more horsepower. But I suspect they're putting all their development money into an actual full electric truck which will be coming next year as a 2023 model. Right after, of course, we're gonna get the new Raptor version of this truck and the upcoming Raptor R, which will have a supercharged Shelby GT500 V8, which will kind of be like the final hurrah, of course, to the combustion engine, the internal combustion engine, because electric trucks are just coming in the future. Now, in terms of just being a regular F-150, this new version here is very impressive. Yes, it doesn't look very much new on the outside, but the interior is full of the latest tech. You have those two 12-inch displays. You have the Sync 4 system with the wireless CarPlay. This is the best infotainment system. It's one of the most comfortable interiors, and although it may not be the most luxurious interior, although if you guys go for the Platinum or the limited trims, you may be able to find levels of that, I still think the Ram 1500 offers a slightly more luxurious feeling cabin, but you can't really go wrong. This is easily at the top in terms of tech and right below the Ram in terms of luxury. In terms of space, it's right there at the top of the segment. But just be sure you're okay with paying a pretty penny for this truck, because it starts at around $29,000 for a base regular cab model. Add roughly $7,000 if you guys want the big Super Crew configuration. This is what most people in America tend to buy these trucks at. Now, if you guys want the PowerBoost option, it's around $4,500 to around $2,500, depending on the trim. On the Lariat version right here, it's $3,300 bucks, but it's around $1,900 more expensive than a non-hybrid EcoBoost engine. You could say you'll make that money back in fuel savings, but it really depends on how much you plan to actually drive this vehicle. And unfortunately, because the battery pack is so small, this doesn't qualify for any federal tax credits, but I suspect Ford's going to be taking advantage of that whenever the full electric version of this truck comes out. Now, speaking of which, my tester here, stickers for around 72,000 bucks, which is very, very expensive considering this isn't even a fully loaded Platinum or limited version of this truck. It has roughly like $20,000 to $30,000 in options on it, and it's still missing things like a wireless phone charger. You don't have those max recline seats with the sleep function or the massaging seats. You have to, again, step up to the highest trim. But without a doubt, this is one of my favorite trucks that I've tested this year, and currently right now, this is the one that I would easily recommend if you guys are looking for the most modern, high-tech, comfortable truck with the best gas fuel economy that you can find, because as you guys saw, this beats out the fuel economy that you're gonna find in some of those diesel options, and it's actually cheaper to boot. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview of the all-new 2021 Ford F-150 PowerBoost, the hybrid model. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.